I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. I would like to welcome Zepp and the gals. Hi.
Hello.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on. Please introduce yourself to everybody.
Hello, everyone. I am Zepp and the Gals. I am your local resident aircraft pink dog and dollfish VTuber.
You're a variety VTuber before you even get started.
Oh yeah, I'm the whole team. I'm land, air, and sea.
Surrounded.
You're surrounded. You got nowhere to run.
No escape possible. So when did you get started VTubing, and how did you come up to be such a variety streamer?
Oh, I think it's a pretty. I think it's a very interesting story because
Yeah.
obviously my Twitch channel was made. It was made earlier than I actually began taking it seriously and being like, I wanna be a VTuber. That sounds cool.
Mm-hmm.
Around 2 months after it was made in November of 2023,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere around that time, I started streaming, and I was like, who do I want to be as a VTuber? Because I kind of went into it like as Zepp,
Yeah.
the plane that you see,
Right.
on my usual cover art and all that,
Yeah.
and I really questioned myself, like, who do I want to be? And I realized there were so many different pieces of myself because my current VTuber, I guess, cast,
Yeah.
my diverse crew they've been characters that have been with me for quite a long time. I'm a bit of a hobbyist writer.
Mm-hmm.
They've been with me since very little. So they kind of grew up with me. They're parts of me. They're just as much me as I am them.
Well, that's wonderful. I mean, you do have the opportunity to present yourself in whatever way you choose, and who you want to show to the world. It's certainly not that easy when you're talking to somebody face to face.
No. Very impractical to,
Yes, and also, I mean, I've talked to other folks about this. Is that you get to set the rules in the of your particular world when you come on. It's such a unique situation that everybody is. And you talk about being a writer. You get to write your own story, backstory, forestory, everything, and everybody's around for the ride.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's amazing to me. And you've been having these parts of you. I won't say characters because that doesn't make any. That's putting it down, and I don't want to do that. Um, for quite a while. So how long have you been a writer?
I think that's a pretty interesting question because I never really I wouldn't consider myself like big time writer, or like as invested as some.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much a thing that I do on my own time, my own feeling. Like I use it to let out emotions and express myself,
Mm-hmm.
come up with ideas. Um, I think I've been a writer in that sense for like the day that I had my first thought. Um, I wrote down everything I thought. I couldn't write it correctly. Don't get me wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
I
Well, I
still wrote it
mean, it was
down.
it was from your point of view, and it was at the time, and how you could express yourself, and
Hmm.
that's something about writing, and whether it's you're writing a story or a journal or however you're doing it, and it gets kind of caught up every once in a while in rule books and how you do things, but I've always found that the writers I've enjoyed the most were the ones who are more stylized and
Hmm.
put their own spin on how they're uh, writing and how they are expressing themselves. It certainly does to me add a lot of imagination to what you're trying to write down. Do you when you read somebody, do you feel that way?
I think for me, what really, I guess, is the thing that I feel a lot with writing or any form of expression really is um what looks like a scribble to someone may be the most elaborate piece of writing they've ever seen to someone else.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, and again, a lot of it is it's all taste, what you're enjoying. But to me, I could read anything that Douglas Adams wrote, um, because I just like that type of humor, and no one would ever read a Douglas Adams book, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, that sort of thing, and say that it
Mm.
was it was a college term paper. It would never pass the AI checks for that sort
I
of
don't know
thing.
anyone who does.
Yeah, that's true. I could say I took an online course in my 40s, and after being in radio for so long, writing for radio is different than writing for real life. I could tell you that. And had a paper and I stuck it in there, you know, AI checker, and every single sentence had something wrong. They don't like commas.
No, they don't. They don't like being too correct.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to be specific. Well, do it without commas. Uh, they'd rather have a 3-page run-on sentence than any commas. Um, so for you, you got a chance with VTubing to express yourself through the character, the different aspects of yourself, or how did you actually fall into VTubing?
Um, I think I fell into VTubing when I think my friends around me at the time were small time indie VTubers.
Hmm.
And I sort of was introduced to it like as a concept, like in my known knowledge of oh this exists.
Hmm.
All the way back when there were very few crucial faces in the VTuber community, so like the OGs back in years ago, back when VTubing was in its infancy.
Right.
But at the time, it was kind of an afterthought. But as the years passed by, quite literally, with being locked up inside all day,
Yeah.
um, I was like, I like entertaining people, and that kind of led me down that rabbit hole. I like the idea of entertaining people, giving people value, giving communities value, um, some kind of contribution to a thing that is larger than myself. And that led me to this rabbit hole of like VTubing allows you to do anything really if you felt like it.
It is. It's that open ended, and the audience is potentially the whole world, basically. Anybody who has a phone, which is practically everybody in in the human race these days has at least one phone. Um, they could tune in and find out what what you're up to. When you first got started, and before you really buckled down and took it seriously, how was the response for you as far as chat goes and listeners?
Um, I think the whole initial reaction, obviously, because it was a very early version of my aircraft,
Hmm.
every aerodynamic presence. Um, they're still the same today, I think. I still get like fresh reactions every day.
Yeah.
But a lot of people expressed. Uh, I think if I could see their faces, and obviously I couldn't, but I imagine them going through every stage of grief at once. They were shocked. Some were flabbergasted. Some were elated. Like
Hmm.
they were relieved. Oh, that's really creative. I think I've seen every emotion across every spectrum,
Hmm.
and I still do to this day.
That's interesting to hear. I mean, you would think that it would be just. kind of either acceptance or not acceptance. But they, the folks who come in and don't quite believe what they're seeing, they generally come around.
Hmm.
Mm, that's got to be uplifting for you because no matter who you have out there, it's still you behind all of it, and people are coming for your personality.
Oh yeah, it's like no matter who's barking mean things or who's spouting compliments. At the end of the day, they can't stop looking.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, were you a person who really liked to get up on stage and entertain people when you were younger, or was
Oh,
it
no,
were
oh
you
God.
were you writing in the background?
I was incredibly quiet.
Mm,
You would not hear me for a peep. I could have a full-length conversation about philosophy with like the few friends that I had in class.
mm-hmm.
And so I would be simultaneously paying attention and just like, having conversations. I was really good at multitasking, but you wouldn't hear me outside of that.
Mm,
I was not a person to be very loud or very disruptive. I was very, you know,
yeah.
I was the teacher's dream essentially.
No maintenance for the instructors.
Hmm.
That didn't have to call you out and throw a stapler at your head or anything like that while class was going on.
No, but
Some of us had to learn how to
weirdly,
duck.
yeah. But weirdly, I think when I did come on the stage and when I did speak, when I did do things, obviously, I think it's no surprise that I was shaking my boots.
Mm,
I was shivering, but in that sort of moment, I think that temporary pressure, that stress, that like, what are they gonna think of it, leads me to think at my best, to speak at my best.
hmm
And so, despite the fact that I'm not the biggest, crowd person or at all even, um, I am actually quite a decent public speaker.
that's an interesting take on it. It's a different because you having been kind of through the ringer yourself, putting yourself through the ringer, and forcing yourself to do what you didn't want to. It's kind of if I'm reading this right, kind of been a quality control for you. It you make sure that what you want to say is exactly what you want to say.
I would rather think for 10 seconds than spout nonsense for a second longer.
Well, I can't hire you for radio.
Yeah,
That's
no,
all. That's
unfortunately
all.
not.
That's all we did was pure nonsense most of the time. You, we've got 6 minutes to kill before news. We got to say something. And so
Yeah,
no, the weather's
I'm
awful
sure.
nice. Yeah, the weather. Yeah,
Well, the
Uh,
weather.
five
There's no
minutes.
windows here.
5 minutes and 30 seconds left to talk about it. uh,
You see a window anywhere?
yeah. Well, they don't know that it's radio. I'm standing outside with the tower looking at me. The so would you say that being on the internet and doing this has actually helped you personally overall um, as far as being more open to people, or has it been more of an outlet to get that out of your system?
I think the internet is the only really method, the medium I can use to do that.
Mm.
And so I spend, don't get me wrong. Uh, I know, me being a young whippersnapper, we call it terminally online. Uh, I'm quite terminally online. Very, very. But I manage it quite well. I try my best not to doom scroll, as they say.
Yeah, listen to you, young whippersnapper stuff. Yeah, I tell
It's
you, in my
it's
day, you kids had all your doodads and your hippity hop music and run off in your roller skates.
roller skates, huh? I haven't heard that in a while.
Oh yeah, well, I lived in the '70s. Actually, I lived in the '60s.
Yeah,
I don't remember much about them, but I was there. I was there.
Mm.
Um, so it's this has been more of a supplement or a complement to your life, VTubing.
Honestly, I'd say it's like the main show.
Mm. It's really taken over your life for the most part, huh?
I mean, I think for a lot of it, the web as a whole enabled me to do things I otherwise wouldn't be able to without like, going a bit crazy.
Hmm. Well,
So,
this is the place to be crazy.
oh, it is the place to be crazy, and don't get me wrong, it didn't prevent me from being crazy, it only made me crazier, but I
It
think
screams for crazy.
very early on, I've always wanted to just mess around. I'm very programmatically inclined. I've got a bit of a case of the engineer brain,
Oh no.
bit too bit too logical. Um, so I
Engineer,
always approach
engineer
things.
and writer brain. That's a tough combination to beat.
Oh no, 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 no. I have quite the developed halves of, creative and logical,
Oh.
and that is its own little nightmare.
That could start all sorts of wars in your head.
Yeah, yeah. You kind of got to imagine, like, you put an architect, an engineer in a room, and that's kind of my mind.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Hey, continual war going.
Indeed. It's like,
I mean,
what if we had this really cool stairwell that was like floating and to an architect, that sounds awesome. To a buyer, that sounds awesome. To a civil engineer, they're crying their eyes out.
no, it's not physically possible. But yeah, but wouldn't it be great if it was if it had winged horses on it and it actually flew and it took you from one room to the next. Our budget. So
I don't get paid enough.
yeah, well nobody does these days. Uh,
No, that's true.
that's very true. Um, with your writing, what type of writing do you do? Is it story based? What do you like to write?
I call it fart vomit. Um,
Well, that's a selling point.
I mean, yeah, it's like, at a circus you might see a clown like pop out confetti, but for me it's just words. Like you grab a document, and mind you, I have not picked up a pen and written a sentence longer than 20 words in a few years. So,
Hmm. Well, is has this kind of taken over for you in that regard, VTubing?
um, oh, I just went into the future.
Mm.
I type everything,
Oh.
but VTubing is sort of like, I think writing was sort of diminished, but like it's used as a tool nowadays
Hmm.
to express myself, to further the advancement of me as a VTuber, me as a
Yeah, means to an end, that
presence.
type of thing. Yeah, yeah. It.
Hmm.
So, if I were to look back at a particular writing of yours, would you write an entire, a short story? Would it be ideas or both or what?
I'd say both, but it's kind of random
Mm.
because at some point on Twitter, um, I woke up one day and I thought, man, what should I post? And so spontaneously, my brain reminded me of how much I think mushrooms are delicious. Like, they're like good if you fry them, if you
Yeah,
boil them in some tasty broth.
yeah.
And I grabbed onto that and I proceeded to write what was essentially 500 words of how much I loved mushrooms.
Oh, now that's a talent that I'm jealous of. I I really because we would get things back in the 1800s when I was in school that we get like 3-page short stories write a 10-page essay on it. And I think of myself as fairly creative, although not, an artist in any shape or form or a super writer. But it took a long time to come up with enough
Mm.
comparative phrases. And when I got the paper back, there were entire pages marked out with X's. No.
Yeah, no,
No.
you could give me a word and I can make it the most jumbled mess of blabber possible.
Yeah, yeah, but it's entertaining though. What'd you say at the end? I mean, it's 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 gone through your uh, strainer, and it's you've taken that idea and shaped it into the image you want.
Hmm.
I do. I really do. I am very jealous of that.
Also, like, the reverse. A lot of people admire when something is impressive, complex, but I think what's even more impressive is when people can skim over like something really intricate and wild and then explain it to someone who has never seen it in their life.
Yeah, yeah, and of course, you're when you write something, or whether you perform something, or you make an art piece of something, it's always going to be in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? You could
Hmm.
you could write something that is meaningful for you. It's got all your life story in it, but somebody could come along and say, "Ah, well, something I can wrap my fish in," and just not enjoy it whatsoever. It's very. How do you get over that? Or have you gotten over where you've taken something that's private and published it, and where people can see it?
I think for a while I couldn't get over it, but after a while I realized you kind of have to because as an artist, as anything really, you can create anything.
Hmm.
The way that people perceive it is never going to be the same.
Right.
Um, like if you think about it, the way we perceive things is very obviously it's a very constructed thing.
Hmm.
If you told a blind person who has never seen in their life what shape, like what was in front of them, if you gave them two objects, a sphere and a cube, and you asked them to touch them, and you asked them, what are they?
Hmm.
How would they know?
Right. Right. They could describe it how it felt, perhaps how it smelt, but not necessarily what it is. Um,
How would they know what pointy is? How would they know what smooth is?
right.
Is a cube
Yeah.
pointy or is a cube smooth?
Yeah. Or a straight. Well, I mean, I would give. There are some who would. I mean, after a while, I would imagine you'd adapt to it, but and you learn how to tell whether something was generally straight or not. But
Mm.
even then, it's you're missing the one sense that would continue to describe it. However, wouldn't you also develop your other senses to the point where in your own mind, you've got a description of what's going on?
Hmm. That
Mm,
is true.
yeah.
But the reason I tend to ponder that, like that scenario, is because we, I'm assuming you've got a pair of eyeballs.
Yes, I do. They're behind very
Yes, you
thick
do.
glasses.
So you can see the world. If you look at a cube, if you look at a sphere, you associate its geometry. You know how it feels in
Hmm.
theory.
Right.
When you're missing that link, that becomes not so obvious. And to us, it's very easy to interpret it as, oh, that link would be obvious to us because we've only lived with it.
Hmm.
But someone theoretically who has never experienced like, a medium or like a link of like the thing that bridges those two sensations together, they might interpret that completely differently. They might still be able to correctly identify that they're different, but not in the same way that we would.
Right. Right. It's basically your mileage may vary.
Your mileage may vary. It's
Yeah.
like how you could replace math with random scribbles and it would still make sense.
It would to me, if for the most part. But no, I actually took a lot of math courses and then proceeded to ignore them. Um, they don't need them in radio because you don't make enough money to actually use all the numbers. And certainly not all the formulas to multiply them. Subtraction is right up there though. Um,
I mean,
it's it's very interesting to me because I am I've always got stuff bouncing around in my head as far as writing goes, except for actually writing it. I, like I
God, whether it's writing, whether it's programming, whether it's doing anything really, it's like some people would have it more difficult to actually commit to something, right? And that's like, I think that's a universal struggle to some degree.
yeah, yeah, and
But
I actually blame modern technology because I would think that by now we'd have just the things where you could think and it would go down on page. We'd have that just taken out, just something written down immediately. Um,
we're getting there. We're getting there.
yeah,
We're getting
well, I'm I don't have all that much time.
there.
Not like in 50 years I'm going to
Um,
hear waiting for it.
I
Might be a
mean,
little
hey,
late between now and then. So when
I mean,
what, yeah, I'm an old man. What can you say? Uh,
you're an old man, but I play a lot of Minecraft, so I heard skeletons are pretty popular.
oh yeah, well Minecraft will still be there in 50 years, um, in one form or another. Uh, as far as what you wanted to do with your channel, now that you've done it for a while and you have the different avatars, are you where you wanted to be with it, or did you set yourself a goal when you started?
Oh, my goal was like very simple. I just wanted to entertain people, even if that was one person.
Mm,
And I think very much so. I've achieved that goal continuously.
mm-hmm,
It's just obviously sometimes you wonder like, oh, what can I do differently? What can I do? How can I portray myself differently? How can I do this and all that?
mm-hmm,
But I've come to understand, and this was only a recent revelation because obviously I've had a lot of, trials and tribulations sometimes, of feeling demotivated, feeling down, feeling
mm-hmm.
like the effort was like, a bit of a slog,
Right, right,
putting it crudely. But
yeah.
but I kind of let that go, and I realized every every small thing is worth like immeasurable amounts of. It's just like it's value. It's value that you cannot necessarily feel or see
Mm-hmm,
or perceive.
yeah.
But the worst thing that can happen is that you learn something new.
Well, for some people, their mind is a terrible thing, and you don't want to feed them necessarily. But obviously, mine is lot like that. But it's it sounds like you're enjoying this so much that it's almost like a manna for you, a bread of life type of thing, where having this opportunity to express yourself in so many different ways in something that you've created yourself, um, has really given you a sense of fulfillment. Am I
Oh
think
yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. I thought I
And
might be thinking
and
those lines. Yeah.
and you say enjoy, and honestly, I think my view on that is very interesting because I'm gonna be honest when I say there were moments where I didn't enjoy it. There were moments where I wasn't feeling great.
Hmm.
But I think I think VTubers in general, I think anyone doing anything, it's okay to like accept. It's okay to accept strife. It's okay to accept difficulty.
Hmm.
I think one should not have to pretend what they're feeling. I don't think that's honest to themselves. I don't think that's honest to people in their lives. I think people should be honest with anything and anyone at any time.
Hmm.
And so when you come to accept, oh, that day was a little worse, you appreciate the contrast more overall.
Yeah, and your situation is unique being able to have different avatars for the different days and show a different aspect of yourself.
Mhm.
You know that. So I mean, not a lot of people have that. First of all, have that capability to do that.
No, no,
Um,
no, no, no.
that
Yeah, no.
and secondly, to be able to be agile enough to go from one day to another. How do you choose who's there on what day when you stream?
Who's there on what day?
Yeah.
Whoever my mind says, yeah, all right, that feels good.
It's not like a roll of a 20-sided die or anything like that.
Not quite. That's a lot of duplicates on that die.
You got a list up on the
But
wall, and it's just,
it's sort of like, and obviously, there's people who are very admirable, by the way. People who do also do the same, like similar,
mm-hmm,
but they take it a whole another level, like completely different people,
mm-hmm,
depending on who's on screen. I
yeah,
think for me, it's sort of like a hive mind
mm,
in a way.
okay,
There's like different like fronts, different things you're perceiving,
mm-hmm,
but and there's some deviations in the conglomerate,
mm-hmm,
but at the end of the day, it's like I perceive the way I VTube as a sort of adapter for what I'm feeling that day, or like what I want to be perceived as, seen as,
yeah.
and
And,
who I want to be perceived as.
and it does take some extra work to do, and you're putting your mind through a little bit of extra gymnastics that other folks aren't before coming on the air. But it's interesting you bring that up because I was going to ask, and if you if this is too close to the bone, just do what my wife says and says, "Shut up, old man," and I'll stop. But it was very effective. You wouldn't believe it. Um, is this medium a I won't use the word substitute, but a good outlet for you to present sides of yourself that you're not able to in off-screen life?
I would say so. I
Mm,
would say so.
mm, mm. Has it been tough for you to display that socially, um, uh, outside of the screen, of course?
Oh yeah, I think the problem is that like in real world scenarios you cannot be as crazy, you can't be as goofy, as outspokenly silly, and I struggled a lot with that like throughout my entire
Mm-hmm.
life really.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was given the early on medium of I can do whatever I really
Mm-hmm.
care for. It's why it's consumed me a bit in the most positive way I can imagine.
No, that's good. That's an extra sort of fulfillment, isn't it?
Hmm.
Mm. I don't think it's one of the things I really enjoy about doing these interviews is hearing different people's different stories and backgrounds and different reasons as why they're doing it and what people get out of it. I would think that you're getting out of it about as much as I've talked to anybody getting out of it, as far as it being a part of your life and not only that, but being a um, I keep using the word fulfilling, but it seems to fit. Uh, it's
Yeah, yeah.
it's really become several parts of you. It's not just one part; it's different parts.
Hmm. Hmm.
Well,
I think for me, I value human experience
yeah,
above all.
yeah, yeah, and that's not always easy to do, especially for someone who grew up kind of being the person that was there but didn't talk before, didn't try to stand out. Here, you kind of get your chance to stand out in a situation that you create. You have the control of it. Um,
Mhm.
does that make a difference for you when you have the control?
Oh, how funny you mentioned that.
Mm.
Now, obviously, you mentioned getting too close to the bone. You'd have to be in my marrow for me to be bothered.
Well, you know, I
Um, when it comes to control as a whole, I struggle with, I guess, a lack of it.
mm,
I obviously, I don't know about obviously. I use that word a lot. It's my
mm,
buzzword.
yeah.
But I was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder very early on,
hmm
and that also came with the realization that um I had a profile that really responded negatively to expectation, to demand, to a loss of autonomy,
Ah,
which comes up in every aspect of life, every little nook and cranny.
yeah.
And
Um,
so having control is paramount, really.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's it. That really sets in to motion a lot of things, and it almost is like this medium was created for you to was sitting here waiting for you to join it and express yourself and grow in
hmm
it. I wonder what you would be doing if this wasn't available.
Oh God, I honestly think it would be bleak. It would be real bleak.
I hear sheer astonishment.
I think if it wasn't like a possibility, let's say the internet vanished
Yeah.
overnight, it would be I would be lost. It would be catastrophic.
Mm, yeah. It's wonderful to hear what the medium has allowed you to do and allowed us. By the way, it's not it. We as the listener consumer, um, we get the fruits of your wonderful talents and
hmm
what you bring to the table. We wouldn't know uh, Zepp and the gals uh, unless this happened, and we wouldn't be entertained if by you if it wasn't there either. So
hmm
it everybody who comes on from one side or another's got to remember it's a two-way street.
Oh yeah, it's a two-way street, and for me, I focus in all aspects of my life, especially nowadays with VTubing. I try to affect more than myself.
hmm Yeah, yeah, and you do. It's very obvious. People are coming back to be with you. For someone who was a bit of a wallflower, maybe I'll use that phrase early on. How does it feel
Mhm.
to have people coming to your streams because of you?
Oh, I felt very shocked at first. I still am like processing like, am I really that compelling? And so you because like for most of my life it's like closer knit groups of like people I knew online,
Right.
and before that it was just like my own ramblings.
hmm
So to kind of feel that people stick around despite the unconventional portrayal, despite the many, quirks I have, that they still come around and say hi, ask how I'm doing. It feels surreal almost, lack of a better word.
Yeah, and people all over the world, and people standing upside down on the other side of the planet from you at any
hmm
particular time. Um, it has opened up a such an entire universe for so many people, and it really does sound like it's done that for you.
Oh, for sure. Because like, how else are you meant to make a sandwich? I mean, really?
That's the okay. You you won the internet today.
I'm not wrong. You can't prove me wrong there.
Nope, exactly. It's exactly right. Exactly right. Just don't mind me putting a little extra ketchup on it, if that's okay.
Don't worry.
some
You
some
top that with whatever you want.
some of it's a little hard to digest sometimes. But
Yeah.
it's great to hear how much you're enjoying yourself and how much people are enjoying being with you. And I just hope that you get to continue to get the maximum experience out of what you're doing, and it continues to be a wonderful part of your life, and it certainly does sound like that all the way around. Thank you.
I'm too stubborn anyway.
Join the crowd. uh,
hmm
Thanks so much for coming on. I do appreciate it. It's great to meet all of you, and
Oh, for sure.
and
Yeah. I wish.
yeah, we'll get you on again here soon, and then talk more about what you got going on your channel.
Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Made,
No, we'll
made a
get you.
striking impression, huh?
No, no, I so much enjoy talking with people who are enjoying themselves, and it's very obvious that this is made for you, and you're made for it. And the more we as a whole show people what this particular medium is about and what it can do, the more people will get involved in it. There'll be more audience, and it'll be more productive for everybody, I think. Um,
hmm
so we're going to have all your links up in the description for the interview. Thank you again, Zepp, so much for coming on. It's
Well, thank you for having me.
it's absolute pleasure. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.